Suffern Central School District Board of Education meeting of February 25th, 2019. Let the record reflect all board members are present. We are not joined by Superintendent Dr. Adams due to an urgent absence. And we are joined by our dear board clerk. Thank you for being here. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Superintendent's comments, we don't have any, and we don't have a delegate either. So we'll move on to public participation on action items only. Seeing there are none, we will move to the one action item on the agenda. Item 2.01, Chair would entertain a motion. Moved. Ms. Reamer, second.
Second.
Mr. McKenzie. Any discussion?
Well, I have several comments. This sounds very loud.
Move it a little farther. Yeah, they're very strong.
Is that any, I don't know if that's any better.
That's better.
But,
It is.
well, for starters, I would just like to say I don't believe this meeting is necessary at all. We have another meeting in 8 days. I think calling this meeting to simply review this COSER, which we discussed at the last meeting, is really a waste of our time and the public's time. I'm a bit displeased with the fact that I was just handed the COSER about 3 minutes ago. I think it was posted on board docs at 7:15 p.m. tonight, which is completely inadequate for asking us to vote on something or providing the public any information.
Did you receive? Did you receive the Superintendent Dr. Adams' email?
I received his email, but
Yeah, it was attached.
oh, was that the purpose of his email, was to give us the COSER?
It's attached, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it not the responsibility of those creating the agenda and putting it on to provide the information?
Also didn't get attached 2 weeks ago, if you recall.
I'm talking about this meeting.
Both. It's in the
Okay.
hands
Was
of
this-
administration.
This wasn't put up until 7:15 tonight.
I had no,
That's all. Okay.
no
Okay.
access to it.
Okay, thank you. In regards to this resolution, I think it's an irrelevant, meaningless resolution. I don't know where we think that we have the authority to grant the board president the power to direct any personnel of this district, with the exception of the superintendent, to do anything. So, I mean, you can certainly enlighten us as to where you believe that responsibility comes from. Is that?
That's better, thank you.
Sorry. So, I mean, you're more than welcome to enlighten us on why you think that the board has the ability to provide you with that power. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we can do that. I think that we are responsible for one person and to direct one person in this district. And that's the superintendent. That's not anybody in the business office.
And what's your source for that information?
Well, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with NISBA? Do you want to start with policy? Do you want to start with the fact that one person reports to us? You know that. You've been on this
The
board
law,
for 6 years.
the law states differently that we were,
What law is
I'm
that?
sorry, do you want me to answer?
What law?
The law that was quoted to you and me today,
Quoted
which I went
by-
back and
by
reviewed,
whom?
in the communication received.
From who? I didn't receive anything with a law in it.
Okay, so you didn't read the memo that we received. That's okay. I'm not going to discuss it publicly. But anyway, we all received the same memo, which quotes a particular law,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm referencing. But
Okay.
moreover, the urgency is because this action was taken 2 weeks ago already,
Mhm.
and before the 2 weeks was suggested by the Board of Education. COSERs don't normally require a board vote,
They don't.
but the administration continues to not act on the COSER that was asked for by the Board of Ed.
So therefore,
One
you're
second.
just trying to take the power away from the
No.
superintendent and
No,
do
sir.
it yourself? No?
Please don't rephrase me. I'm
Well,
responsible for what I'm
okay.
saying, but I'd like to finish.
Clarify.
Okay, So I sat and listened to you, please give me my time.
Okay, well, I'll interrupt you just as much as you try to interrupt me, but go ahead.
I was clarifying where the attachment was to make sure you reviewed the email we all received.
Okay, and did you, anything else you want
Once
to
we
add?
all received an email, that document had to be downloaded and then forwarded it to the district clerk.
Hmm.
Remember, board members, including myself, don't have board docs access.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
So that's why I was clarifying.
I see, okay. But you still feel it's appropriate to hold a meeting, a special meeting, and not provide the information to the rest of the board and the public until 15 minutes before the meeting?
Information.
You believe that's appropriate?
We acted on it 2 weeks ago. Did you know what we were acting on? It was the same resolution.
I knew what we were acting on, and I think I made the point that nobody else in the public did,
Okay.
if you recall.
So basically, the scope of the activities under this resolution
Mhm.
involves all employees of the district.
Okay?
So it is appropriate for Board of Education as a whole, not the board president,
Mhm.
to take the action that it's scheduled to take today,
Mhm.
should this resolution pass.
Okay.
It does not qualify the board president to give instructions to the staff. It qualifies the board president, should the resolution pass, to sign on behalf of the district.
It says hereby authorizes the Board of Education president and hereby directs the district's business
Yeah,
official.
see, directs is for the board, not me directs.
I-
And that's why it says that hereby.
Either way, we're not the business official's superior.
The Board of
We're not
Education can
involved.
direct, and that
Okay.
has been reviewed with
Okay,
the
well-
legal counsel, so yes.
Okay, well, again, if that's been reviewed with legal counsel, then please share that information with the rest of us.
That's exactly it. So
Oh,
once
this-
we,
So this answer, this tells me that legal counsel said okay?
no.
Is that what
After
you said?
we received a communication earlier today,
Mhm.
as I should, I reviewed it with legal
I
counsel.
received one email today, and that was at 4:18. So if there was other information or other emails that you have,
I don't have other emails, no.
okay?
Okay, so.
The email that I have has nothing to do with our attorney.
So I'm explaining to you that it's been reviewed and it's perfectly
Hmm.
acceptable from a legal perspective.
Can you disclose which attorney that was discussed with?
We can if we go into executive. Would you like
Okay,
to
so
adjourn?
No, I do not.
Would you like to adjourn into
No,
executive?
I do not.
We can also get the attorney on the phone.
Not necessary. I'll call that attorney myself.
Absolutely, so
Okay.
you can do that. So
Okay,
would you like to
perfect.
adjourn into executive?
No, I do not.
Perfect. So that's all I was told and that's all I'm
Okay.
sharing. That the board has the authority
Okay.
under the education law to enter into a contract and that employees may be directed by the Board of Education.
Okay.
So this is the information I received.
Mhm.
So again, the board president would not be directing anyone. The board president would be directed by the board to sign at the dotted line.
Okay.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes.
We're going in,
Oh, I'm sorry.
anyone?
No, I think it's imperative that we have this done, and there's been delay, and we need to get it done. I'm done.
I'm just looking at the form, and it says, "The signature of district requesting service," under the part that I believe we're going to be directing, if this should pass, to be signed by the president of the board. Doesn't say the superintendent of Suffern Central School District or any other school district, if you look at the actual
Well,
form.
unfortunately, I haven't had a chance because it was just given to me.
Well, if you look under part one.
He's looking at the same.
At the line next to the word signature, it says signature of district requesting service. It doesn't say signature of superintendent of school
I
district.
believe that we were also provided the proper means for entering into these cross contracts, and.
I'm just pointing out what it
Okay.
says.
And I think even the last
And that,
page here.
and that's, what you're referring to
Mhm.
is an interpretation of one person. It's
Ah.
not the interpretation of everybody
Okay.
out there.
Okay.
So,
So
in
everything
terms,
is.
I'm sorry, I thought I was
No,
speaking.
go ahead,
If you
go
want to
ahead.
speak, go
No, I was
ahead.
just saying, everything's subject to interpretation.
That's exactly my
That's-
point.
Okay.
So,
Sorry.
the form says signature of district requesting service. The board is the people of this district, elected officials, who have the ability to direct somebody to do something within the school district. So if this board takes a vote and decides that somebody is to sign this one, and the majority votes for it, then that's what would happen.
Okay. I'm looking at the last page, and,
I'm finished, thank you.
okay, I'm looking at the last page to sort of add on to what you were saying. And all three steps indicated on the last page all say that the district superintendent or designee, and I don't believe we're the designee, but that the superintendent is the one who enters into the cross contracts. That's all on the last page.
Well, if
Just
it
bear in
would come
mind-
down to who was the person that decided the designee is, wouldn't it? It wouldn't come down to any one person,
No,
right?
see, I would read this as saying that it's the superintendent
Or designee.
or his or her or their designee.
It doesn't say that.
Okay.
So who ultimately is making that decision on a
You,
regular basis?
This Board of
This
Education.
Not
Board
on
of
a regular
Education is
basis or
making
not.
it
In
today.
this situation, being that all activities of all staff are going to be looked at, it's extremely appropriate.
So my question then is, on a regular basis, a regular COSA, a regular cross contract,
We wouldn't be
we
voting.
don't get involved.
We've discussed this in executive
And
session, and there's a
therefore-
specific reason
and-
why this particular COSA is going through.
That's fine, that's not what I'm getting at.
Well,
What I'm
that's the
saying
reason
is-
why the inaction of the administration is causing the action of the board.
Okay, so, you're done.
I have not anything else to add.
Use your mic. It's-
No, I believe,
No, turn your mic, thank you.
can everybody hear me? I believe Dr. Adams, I don't think anybody's not going to hear me. I think Dr. Adams explained to us a few weeks ago that we're not following practice, procedure, that it is him that enters into these agreements with the superintendent of BOCES, Putnam, Northern Westchester, and Rockland County BOCES. I don't know, we can't give you the authority or give anybody the authority if we don't have authority. It's clearly stated that it's the superintendent's position to do it.
The Board of Education has the authority, and that has been confirmed.
Okay, so we'll just,
Thank you. Mr. Shapiro.
Yes, I'm glad to be back, let me say that.
Welcome.
you're welcome back.
If we take a look at the bottom pages of the forms that we all got, you'll see that it says request for contract, May 10th, 2017, PNWB, Business Office. So this comes from Putnam, Westchester,
Can you show me
BOCES.
which page you're looking at?
Last page.
It doesn't matter which
Oh, that one,
page.
thank you.
It could be the first one, it could be the second page, it could be the third. Because they all say the same thing at the bottom. Well, maybe not the first, but the next two. So this comes from their business office, and if I'm reading it correctly, there's a process here. It's very simple. The superintendent of whatever school or whatever district, let's say it's the Mount Vernon City School District, they want to do something with Westchester BOCES, or Putnam, Northern Westchester BOCES. But they don't have the service, but Rockland BOCES does. So the city of Mount Vernon, the superintendent there signs it, sends it to the Putnam Westchester BOCES, that superintendent signs it, sends it over to the Rockland BOCES, that superintendent signs it, all those papers then go back, and then it goes to the Mount Vernon City Board of Education, the business office there, they sign it, and that's when the money starts flowing and whatever happens. It's the same thing here. Why are we trying to reinvent the wheel when the process is here? And I know that we all received the same, I'm assuming, let me ask, did everyone receive the email from Dr. Adams that came at approximately 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock or whenever it was?
Yes,
Okay,
Yes, sir.
and did we read it?
Of course.
yes.
Okay, so if I quote something from it, it's something that we've all
I
read.
don't think we could do that publicly. It's intended for you. I don't
There's
think
a
he...
confidentiality
Yeah, I don't think
thing
he's
at the bottom of
expecting
it,
you to
isn't there?
read it. That's why I couldn't really reference it.
Okay, so then I can't read it. Okay.
You'd have to have his permission to do so.
Thank you very much,
so
and since
just
he's not
alerting
here and I
you. Yeah.
can't ask him, and we
Yeah,
don't have
when he
throw
says-
waves that go back
Yeah, that's why
and
there's a
forth.
confidentiality code at the
Okay, so
bottom
then
of
let
it,
me
so.
say that a little bird has told me that it seems that there's been some discussion already with the particular service that we want. So obviously, this isn't something, maybe it's just slow in hatching, and I can't excuse that for happening, but it's just slow in hatching, but the process is there. Dr. Adams signs off, sends it to G. Marsico, she signs off, sends it to the person in Putnam, Westchester, and we have her name here as well. And when that person signs off, then the ball starts rolling, and we're going to get what we want. I think that we are, as a board, overstepping, and I know we want to get into this. I know we want to be so involved in everything, but we have to realize that we're a Board of Education. We're not the administration. There's only one person, or maybe two, because I don't know what Don's credentials are, but there's only one person among the 7 of us who could be a superintendent of schools. And that person chooses not to be and never wanted to be, because that takes you out of the building. And the building is where the good stuff is. So I'm just telling you that we shouldn't be delving into things that we really don't have the complete picture, and we haven't had the training, or most of us haven't had the training of that. We may be aware, we may have listened, we may have read, we may have had training. It's not the same as being in that position. So I think this resolution, I understand what the board wants. They want this done. They want this to have been done two weeks ago, or a month ago, or two months ago when it was first brought to our attention. And it's a shame that it wasn't. And if it had been, we wouldn't be here now, and we'd all be home or busy going to meetings for something else.
Very true.
I agree with that.
Right?
That's
So-
very true.
I know, but here we are. But I think we should just somehow maybe kind of review this resolution and make sure that it's very strong, and it directs our superintendent to sign, to get this process going as soon as he returns. And then hopefully by next week, maybe what we want from this BOCES COSA will be working.
Mr. Cairns?
Number one, I think everyone really has to realize that, the Board of Education has an attorney, and basically we do listen to that attorney and get advice, legal advice. And I believe we have legal advice on this issue, number one. Number two, the superintendent is not at the meeting, so we would simply delay, and unfortunately that seems to be something that continues in the Suffern School District, of a great deal of delay. The issue that we're speaking about, why we want to have this particular item done, is extremely important. It's something that has to be done as quickly as possible, and that will ensure the safety of the school district by doing this. If we continue to delay another month, we never know what's going to happen because of this particular situation that we discussed up in the executive board. It's time to move forward.
And to clarify, Mr. Shapiro, because of the scope of this particular contract, it is not appropriate for the superintendent of schools to be either the initiator or the contact person. So that will not be the case in this particular case. Just to clarify, and I can bring you up to
Can
date.
you say that again, please, Money?
Because of the scope of this contract, it is appropriate for the Board of Education to be spearheading it, as we've discussed confidentially. And I can bring you up to date with past discussions about it, Mr. Shapiro.
Okay.
So that you're on the same page with everyone since you've been absent. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against?
Nay.
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 All those abstains? Moved. Public participation on non-agenda items.
I wasn't going to talk, but I just have a couple of questions.
Kindly state your name and
For those who
affiliation.
don't know me,
Thank you. And your affiliation, thank you.
Aaron. And if I could just repeat every single thing that Mr. Shapiro just said, I would, but I don't remember most of it, at least verbatim. But when it comes to a cross contract with BOCES, with this process that you're trying to do, it's the superintendent of schools that signs it. It's not the Board of Education, it's not a designee, it's a superintendent of schools, and this process is very simple and it's set up by BOCES or through BOCES. The superintendent of school requests for the cross contract. The district superintendent signs it, or the designee of the local BOCES, not a designee of the school district. It's the superintendent or the designee of the local BOCES, which would be maybe Mary G. Marsico or whomever would be their local designee. But if you look at all the paperwork that BOCES has and all the paperwork the state has, and unfortunately, I don't have a copy of what you guys put up on
Would you
the
like one?
agenda. So late because I was probably driving up here at the time.
We're supposed to provide these if anybody's interested.
Yeah, I appreciate that. 'Cause
Are you interested in a copy? Here you go. Thank you. It's online now, but yes, we didn't have access to it.
Again, it's not about, and I've said this before, it's not about what you want to do. I don't know what you want to do, you know, whether you think it's right, whether other people think it's wrong. Two things are missing here. One is there's no recommendation by the superintendent, or for that matter, we're talking about corporate screening and investigative group 698.11. That's an investigative type thing. So I'm wondering, is the head of security recommending this? Is the head of whatever it is you guys are trying to do, they recommend? There's no recommendation from any administrator with respect to this resolution or this request for a cross-contract agreement, which is somewhat disturbing because then it means you're doing it on your own, and that's not what your job is. Your job is to take recommendations from administration because they're the professionals. They're the ones who are supposed to be driving and leading this district. You guys, as we've learned in so many NISBA training, you guys are supposed to be up at 30,000 feet looking down and making sure that you know, there's nothing systemically wrong or any systemic issues with respect to this district. So again, it's not what you want to do per se, except for the fact that I don't see anybody recommending it. It's the process that you guys constantly use where you overstep your bounds, you exclude the superintendent, which is in violation of, forget how many laws or how many policies, and probably his contract. That's the problem with this. And you guys really need to start listening maybe to the other three on the board. Because again, it's really 4 against 3, and I feel like 3 senior
Please conclude.
board members are being absolutely ignored by
Yep.
everybody else.
Thank you. Any further comments? Seeing there are none, we will close this portion. At this time, we need, again, closing comments of the superintendent of schools. We're not joined by the superintendent or a delegate of the superintendent, so we'll close that segment as well. At this time, the chair would like a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Move.
Can't fight. Mr. McKenzie, second.
Second.
I'm sorry. Mr. Karen, sorry.
Yay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? None. Any abstains? None. Thank you.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night.